Well, after a divided first half of the season, the fight against Negan is officially begun. Hey guys, coming on the mid-season finale, The Walking Dead, Season 7, Episode 8, Heart Still Beating, and I was definitely really looking forward to this episode. I've really enjoyed this season so far. I know a lot of people have been kind of in and out with this season, and I can understand why. Like I said, it's been a much different kind of season, seeing all these different factions and seeing everyone, basically in all these different kinds of communities and things like that, and seeing how they live in those communities. But this was the episode really where everything comes together, and I'm definitely going to say this was by far the best episode of the season. I absolutely love this episode. I think this episode gave us pretty much everything we've been waiting for, and definitely sets up what's going to be a very action-packed, well, should be a very action-filled second half of the season. But let's just get into this episode because there definitely is a lot to talk about. So much happened in this episode. We really caught up with everyone. I think they showed everything they needed to show, and I really enjoyed overall. So let's just get right into it. So we start off with Maggie. She's sitting alone at Glenn's grave, and she's obviously crying. So she gets up, she heads to the top of the wall around Hilltop, and she looks down, and Gregory approaches below her, which I got this wrong. Gregory did not get banned from the Hilltop. He just can't really run anymore, but he appears below her and addresses how she saved the community from the Saviors, and she says that it bothers him that she did that, but he really doesn't respond. Clearly because I think he knows that he can't really fight against her, so she's kind of of higher stature to him, which is interesting to see, but she wants Gregory's apple, and Eduardo convinces him to give it to her. So back at the Alexandria safe zone, Negan is shaving in the mirror with Carl and Lucille behind him. He tells Carl to always shave against the grain, which it's really weird to see Negan without a beard, but I guess that's what we're going to see for the rest of the season. It's kind of like how when Rick shaved. With Negan, it just makes him look less intimidating, but I think he's just intimidating mentally and things like that. It's just, the beard kind of gave him, that's how we introduced him, so it was kind of weird not seeing him without the beard, but I got used to it pretty quickly. But Daryl's alone in his cell, he's looking at the note, and we knew that obviously this note meant something. I was very worried this was going to be a trap, but he does escape shortly after, and he does in fact leave because he's going to listen to the note. So back at the Alexandria safe zone, Negan's making spaghetti with Carl. Olivia's crying outside and is about to enter the house when Tara brings her more lemonade. Tara offers to take her place, but Olivia refuses, and Tara leaves, and Olivia then enters the house, and Negan is teaching Carl how to set the table. He tells him that they will need one more, and Olivia walks over with Judith and pours him some more lemonade, so you can tell that Negan just kind of trying to, again, be in charge and kind of just take Rick's place, and Rick and Aaron, meanwhile, are looking out over the zombie pond, and we knew that they came across something, and now we know what they are. They're near this Walker pond, and they notice that the boat is filled with holes, and it will take on water quickly. So Aaron kicks out a board from the sign to use an oar and says they're both going to see this adventure through, and they sail off into the pond, unknown where exactly they're going. They just know that it's going to get them out of there and get them closer to their destination, but Negan then sits with Carl, Olivia, and Judith, and he says he's not waiting for Rick anymore. He sits Lucille in the empty chair, and he's just gonna, do what he has to do, and Carl then passes the rolls. Reluctantly, Negan smiles, and Carl does in fact pass the rolls, and that is the way the episode starts. Really good stuff overall, I think really sets up how crazy the episode is going to be. So Eugene enters the Alexandria safe zone gate. He walks past Spencer and some saviors, and the saviors comment Spencer on his effort to get the supplies. A female savior flirts with Spencer and then yells at Eugene, and Carl's then sitting by the fire in her house. Carol is sitting by the fire, not Carl. I always do that. Carol is sitting by the fire in her house. She hears something outside. Morgan has said something on her stoop, and she opens the door and invites him back in. Morgan explains that he brought her fresh produce, and she shows him that Ezekiel had already brought her produce, and she's upset because she's not getting left alone. She wanted to check on Morgan and then ask him to leave. And as he opens the door, Richard is standing there. He says he wanted to speak to them both about something important, and things are kind of tough between Carol and Morgan, because as we know, she just had that very big conversation with Ezekiel where she now knows who he is, and he gave her that whole chance and everything. It's been a while since we caught up with these two, but, we do remember what happened with Ezekiel and Carol. Ezekiel's not in this episode, but the presence of him is definitely there, and you definitely feel like Carol herself is realizing that she needs to change, and I think she realizes she's been exposed, and we definitely do see that here. But Rick and Aaron are struggling to get across the pond. Walkers start reaching in, and the men stab them with the wood. They're getting closer to the other canoe in the water, and the walkers are inside of it. Rick kills it. Aaron falls in, surrounded by walkers. Rick yells for him, and Aaron goes under. He comes back up in another location, and he says he's all right. He climbs up into the houseboat, and Rick then joins him. It's a pretty intense scene because you really don't know what's going to happen here. But in the sanctuary, Dwight's sneaking around the halls trying to escape. He hears people and ducks into a bedroom. He finds clothes and peanut butter, and he first eats then changes out of the nasty sweats. Again, kind of just going through his day-to-day life. But you don't know why he's sneaking around, what exactly he's trying to do, but Aaron and Rick are in the houseboat. They find a cache of guns, and there's no ammo, though. They are going to take it all back, and so, because obviously they can't use these guns, but Daryl's listening to talk outside. He's eating with the rest of the peanut butter. He flips a table before leaving, and Aaron and Rick are then loading up their truck with their guns. Rick acknowledges that many don't believe in what he's really doing for Negan. You know, they feel it's not right to just bow down to him and just go along what Negan's doing, but Aaron says he understands why he's doing it and that he's with him, and Rick says he knows that Michonne for sure doesn't agree. I mean, they're obviously very much in disagreement over this. You know, Michonne's gone on her own, Rick's gone somewhere else, and Aaron understands it's hard to give everything, but it keeps people alive, so he has to do it. And yeah, that's very much true. I mean, I like that Aaron seems to understand that with Rick, and that's one of the reasons why I think Aaron survived, because he's just done what Negan's told him to do, and, you know, there really isn't anything else they can do. But a set of muddy boots walks in at the edge of the pond, and it's evident that the person is watching Rick and Aaron. Now, we don't know who this person is, but they're still there, and we'll get into that at the end of the episode, but this person is clearly spying on them, and we don't know if he's one of Negan's followers or if he's just someone else that's going after them, but either way, his presence is definitely felt, and whoever he is, he's definitely very intimidating. You definitely get that sense in this episode. So Michonne's holding a gun to the head of a woman, and the car's being driven down the road. Michonne then asks the woman about her actions and about Negan, but she doesn't answer, and Michonne persists, but still nothing. Michonne says she isn't going to kill Negan today, but she will find a way to win, and that's why she's out alone, because she's trying to find a way herself. You know, no one else really wants to fight against Negan. She's going to do it alone, and I like seeing that. So Sasha enters her place to see Maggie and Ned. Someone gave her a pie for saving Hilltop, and Sasha shows off some knives that Jesus gave her, and Sasha says that Jesus left that morning, and Maggie hints that she's been talking to people about leadership, and she leaves, and Enid calls out Sasha for lying to Maggie about Jesus, and Sasha doesn't want to tell her because Maggie would want to help, but Enid tries to plead that they tell her, but Sasha insists that they have to keep Maggie safe, and Sasha says it seems like she's the only one trying anything, because it doesn't really seem like anyone is really contributing anything. She is really the only one that's actually thinking of doing something, and I think it's because Enid and Maggie just don't really know what they can really contribute, but Sasha knows she can, and I think it's interesting to see. But Richard then tells Carol and Morgan that a lot of communities band together after everything happened, and he gives them a lot of information here, and I really did like that, because Carol and Morgan are the only ones that aren't really in the know of what's been going on recently. You know, they've been very separate from everything, and I like that now they finally know what's going on. Basically, he tells them that they all died. He believes in what Ezekiel's doing, but the Saviors are trying to take that from them, and he says Ezekiel and Negan have met about the deal with the Saviors, and he needs their help to turn things around and kill the Saviors while they have a chance. He knows things will go bad and that the kingdom will fall when that happens. He says that he lost his family already. He doesn't want to lose his new one, and he asks Morgan and convinces Ezekiel to attack the Saviors and destroy them, and they really have no choice. You know, they have to go after the Saviors. They're very dangerous, and this is definitely setting up the second half of the season, the way that they're gonna get into the main plot. You knew eventually they were gonna get into the main narrative, and I like that we're seeing how that's gonna happen, because you knew it was gonna happen, and I really do like the direction that that's going. But Rosita then holds the bullet in her hand. She tells Gabriel that it's for Negan, and we have this incredible scene from Rosita, maybe my favorite scene from Rosita yet. Whoever plays Rosita absolutely killed it in this scene, but she says that she will probably die, but that Negan has to die as well, and Gabriel does agree, but says that she may not have to. You know, she may be able to live, and he says she doesn't need to lie if it's their last conversation. And Rosita explains that Abraham and Glenn would have wanted to fight, and that she doesn't have anything in this life worth anything. Everyone else has someone or a set of skills, you know, such as how Aaron has, you know, his boyfriend. Rick has, you know, a certain badassery to him. You know, Maggie would have had Glenn. She really doesn't have anyone. And Basically, Rosita explains that Gabriel says that none of them should have had to lose anything, but that they need to wait for the right moment together, and that's a big part of this episode, the way that they all really need to band together, and he pleads with her not to shoot Negan, and that they all still need to make their victory a reality. Gabriel gets up, he leaves the church, and it's just a really well done scene. I know a lot of people don't like Gabriel, but this was a very effective scene. The way that he provided faith in Rosita, told her that really they all need to come together, because I think that's been their problem. They've been trying to do this all separately, they won't get anything done. But if they come together and actually try to take him down, even though they might not like each other, just everyone come together as a community and try to take down Negan, they might actually have a shot in it. And I think this scene very well sets up, what the rest of the season is going to be. So Daryl's sneaking around the sanctuary with a knife in his hand. He ducks past a room of people. He grabs a pole to use as a weapon, and Richard's explaining to Carol and Morgan that they need to strike first. They tell him that Carol is a warrior. Carol says no, that she doesn't want anything to do with anyone. She just wants to be left alone, and Morgan says a lot of people will die. Richard says they have to choose to kill them, or his own people will die, and Morgan says that there's a peace right now and they can build on it, and Richard says that really is never going to happen. Everything that Ezekiel wants, it's great, but it's not going to happen because Negan is overruling everyone, and the people's blood is on their hands. And after he leaves, Carol tells Morgan not to come back, to tell anyone they know that she's gone, and basically, she doesn't want anyone else to know that she's there. She wants them to think that she's dead, and definitely I'm getting the sense that she's going to go with Ezekiel, that she has a much larger plan, because remember, Morgan does not know who Ezekiel really is, and what he told Carol. He doesn't know about any of that stuff, so I'm assuming that definitely something is going to happen with Ezekiel and Carol. I don't know what direction, but definitely she has something larger at play, and we'll have to see what that is. But I like the scenes we got of them. I wish there were a little bit more, but I like that we got some stuff with Carol and Morgan. I thought overall they worked pretty well in this episode. And it was good to see them one last time before this first half of the season ends, and I've really been liking their plot. But Spencer then enters his house back in Alexandria's safe zone. He sees where Rick tore it apart looking for the guns. He cleans it all up as well as himself. He heads out the back door, and Richard takes down a sign in the woods, enters a hidden trailer. He looks around inside, starts to cry. He starts breaking bottles and then just sits down to cry, and it's a really powerful scene because Richard at this point doesn't really know if anyone is going to stick with him, if he has any allies. He's ready to fight against Negan, but he doesn't know if he has the necessary allies to take him out, and if he really does have that army that Negan has, because he thinks he has Carol and Morgan, but at the same time he doesn't really know. And you really do feel for Richard in this scene, knowing what he's lost, knowing the pain he's endured, just all of that stuff. You really do feel for him. They did a really good job of showing that here. But Spencer's walking down the street with a bottle of whiskey. Rosita calls him out. He says he's trying to get closer to them and get on the inside so he can one day defeat them. It's what Deanna would have done, and he tells Rosita that they had something good. He asks why she even started it. She says she didn't think much about it, and she just used him. She apologized to him because she did kind of just use him for sex, and he asked her if she would join him for dinner. She agrees, and as they smile, Spencer walks away. So Daryl gets outside, tries to take a bike. Fat Joey sees him and says he will just let Daryl go. He says he's trying to get by just like Daryl, and as Jesus walks up, Daryl beats Fat Joey to death with the pipe. That was pretty crazy. He then notices Rick's gun on Joey's hip, and he takes it. He says it isn't just about getting by in Sanctuary, it's about getting it all, and that's very true. It's not just about what you can do for yourself, it's about what everyone can do. It's more about, it's about getting in just by the Sanctuary, and I definitely would agree with that. But Spencer wants to talk to Negan, and Aaron won't let him, but Negan allows him to talk, and Spencer introduces himself, and the second that Spencer went there, I'm like, something definitely is going to go down here, and we will get to that very quickly. So the woman driving Michonne puts the car in park. She shows her an entire compound of saviors, and she says that they are all Negan and there are more. She tells Michonne to go home and that there's a silencer in the glove compartment. So you're definitely getting the sense that anyone that's with Negan is starting to rebel. Like, they know what he stands for. They know how powerful he is, and they want anyone that's in his reach to get out of there. Michonne then shoots the woman. She turns the car around, not knowing if, the woman did what she had to do for her, and the woman kind of is just like, the woman can't say that she told Michonne anything, so I get why she had to kill her. But Rick is sitting in the truck as the Alexandria safe zone gate opens. He's surprised to see the saviors are there, and the first man tells Rick that Negan's in his house. Another savior says they need to have a look at what he brought before he talks to Negan. And Negan and Spencer then on the porch drinking whiskey. Negan says he wants to play pool, and Spencer says the house across the street as the table, and Negan decides it's too nice to be cooped up inside. So as the saviors are unloading the gear, they find the rude note that the man man the houseboat had left for them, and the man start beating on Aaron. They tell Rick he has to go see Negan. I literally thought Aaron was going to die in the scene, just the way that was. I really thought that was going to happen, but the way that this is intercut with Negan and Spencer, you know something is going to go down, because Negan and Spencer take the pool table outside, rack the balls up, and this scene was just so intense. You don't know what's going to happen, but Spencer says he wants to talk about Rick, and Negan just breaks. He tells Negan he understands what he's trying to build, and a lot of the survivors have surrounded the game. Spencer says that Rick doesn't work well with others, that his mom was a great leader before Rick showed up, and Negan says that Rick isn't in charge anymore, and Spencer says he will find a way to screw things up. Spencer says that he can be the leader that his mother was, and I'm just looking at him thinking, what the fuck do you think you're doing? I mean, you're literally talking to the leader right now. You can't be the leader in front of the leader. I mean, you just can't override Negan, and the fact that Spencer thinks he can do that is just insane. I mean, this is the whole reason why I've said since, Deanna died, that Spencer's really been dead weight. That's exactly what he's been. It's what this place needs. He tells Negan that everyone would be better off if he was in charge instead, and I'm like, okay, he just signed his death wish right there. Like, there's no way that he's getting through the rest of this episode without dying, and the Saviors finally stop being on Aaron. Rick helps him up. They start walking toward the house, and Negan says he's thinking he knows Rick hates him, but he's out there gathering things so no one can get hurt, and he says Rick is guts because he's swallowing his hate. Then he asks Spencer if he wants to take over, why not just kill Rick himself? Because, that'd be the logical thing to do if he just wants Rick killed. But he says Spencer has no guts, and he literally splits his stomach open, watches the guts fall out, and Spencer's dead, which honestly was pretty a cool death scene. I thought it was really sick the way it was done. As much as it was sad to see, Rosita lose someone who she cared about, because I really have cared about Rosita over this season, Spencer dying has been a long time coming. It's something that I've wanted, for a long time, and I was very happy to see that finally he was killed, because I really feel like he's been dead weight on the show for a while. I don't really feel like they've had a direction with his character since Deanna died, and I'm glad to see that finally Spencer did die, and he probably died in the best way possible. I thought it was pretty cool the way he died, but this basically gets everyone to finally realize what Negan's all about. Rosita gets really angry. Negan says someone needs to clean the mess up. He points Lucille around at everyone, asking if they want to finish the game. Rosita pulls out the gun, fires, and you don't know what's going to happen. That easily could have been the season cliffhanger, but it's not. There's still a lot more to deal with, and that's something that's really great about this episode, that there's still a whole half hour left after this has happened. So Rick and Aaron are walking, they hear the gunshot, the bullet hit Lucille, and Negan freaks out. We see that Art holds Rosita down. Negan asks about the bullet, he says it was homemade, and Negan says to hold the knife to Rosita's face because Lucille's face is damaged, and he asks to tell him he asks her straight out who made the bullet, because he now knows that there is in fact a bullet, and he wants to know who was, the maker of it, and he knows that she's lying. He says she gets one more try, she still lies, and Negan says to have it her way. He tells Art to kill someone, and Aaron literally shoots Olivia in the head, which again, I thought she was dead weight from the second that Negan wanted her killed, so I'm not surprised to see that Olivia was killed, but Rick and Aaron approach. Negan tells Rick he should thank him. Negan knows that they're never going to be best friends, but he deserves credit for how he handled Carl. He kept Carl safe even when he killed Negan's men, and he then explains that Spencer wanted to kill Rick, and Negan killed him instead. The two men then stare at each other. Rick says his shit is waiting for him at the gate. Negan says he will go, but not until he finds out who made the bullet, and you can see the look on Rick's face. Like, Rick, this entire season, has pretty much just bowed down to Negan and just let Negan do his thing, but now that he's seeing that Negan is just, helplessly killing people and not really caring about it at all, now he's starting to get really pissed off, and now I think he's really starting to see, the call to action that really needs to be made. But Negan says he will go, but not until he finds out who made the bullet. Tara steps up, and she's willing to take the fall, but I like that Eugene actually did cut her off. This is probably the first time that Eugene hasn't really been a coward and hasn't really lied. He actually does tell the truth. He says that he was the one that did it. He begins to cry, and Eugene starts explaining how he made the bullet. Negan believes him. Negan looks at Lucille, asks for strength. He then tells Rick that he's taking Eugene with him, and Negan tells Rick whatever he brought is enough because the hole that was dug today. The Saviors leave, and we don't know what happened to Eugene. We don't know if Eugene's coming back. I'm assuming he's going to imprison him and that he's going to be used in the prison that Daryl was in, but Rick watches them go. Spencer starts to come back as a walker, and Rick puts him down, and I did like the way that in some way Rick did kind of get to kill Spencer. Even though he didn't actually kill Spencer, he kind of did get to kill Spencer, which is something that I've been wanting to see since this season started, honestly. I've wanted to see Spencer dead for a long time, so it's been a long time coming, but it was really cool to see Spencer finally killed. I really did love the way that was done. Just kind of cool to see him finally get to kill Spencer, but then we get to the ending. We see Rick is down the Alexander Safe Zone jail. He's looking at the note from the houseboat, and Michonne enters. Rick walks over, a couple hugs, and it's a really nice moment between the two. Michonne says they found what they were looking for, that she wanted to go with him, and Aaron said, and Aaron, but he didn't let her. And she says that when she found her way, she didn't want it to be hers. She wanted to be theirs together. She wanted to do this with him. But again, Rick was on the other side. He wanted Negan to just maintain order and do what he had to do. And Michonne says that they're outnumbered, and it's not even close. Like, there's really no way they can rally up against him. But she says they're still alive, that they've done that together, and she says that they have to fight. There's absolutely no way that they can, keep him from continuing what he's doing. That they can't keep him from, they can't continue to let him do what he's doing, because she and Rick are the ones who live. They have to fight for everyone else because they're the ones who can do it. And she says that they can win, but only if they do it together. And Rick says that he knows it now, and he appears to be over his brokenness, and it's a great scene. Finally, it seems that watching Spencer die has finally gotten Rick to wake up. He's finally woken up. He's realized that, I need to take down Negan, and I loved seeing this moment between these two. It's a beautiful moment. You know that they're going to fight against Negan, and I love that. And then we get to the final scene. We see back at the hilltop, Maggie's once again looking at Glenn's grave. She climbs back up to the top of the wall. She looks down, and in addition, she sees something. She smiles. She yells out for Sasha and Enid, and they open the gate. Rick, Michonne, Carl, Tara, and others appear to Maggie. Rick tells Maggie that she was right, that they need to fight. Daryl and Jesus appear. I don't know how Daryl really got there, but Rick hugs Daryl and cries. Rosita and Sasha share a moment. Michonne hugs Sasha. Enid and Carl look at each other and smile. It's really just this great moment where everyone's back together. Finally, they're getting back together, and they're finally getting to take down this horrible tyrannical figure that they've really all wanted dead. And Daryl pulls out Rick's gun, hands it back to him. It's such a great symbolizing, that the old Rick is back, and just showing that Rick is now going to go back to the way he was. He leads his people into the Hilltop Mansion, and the Ricktatorship has officially begun, and the fight against Negan finally starts, and that is the way the episode ends. But not before a post-credit scene of us seeing that someone is seen watching them through binoculars. We don't know who this is or what that's all about, but that is the way the episode ends. Really great finale overall. Let me just get into this and where I think that we're going to go from here for the rest of the season. So overall, even though this finale, I think, definitely was very predictable in the sense of who I thought was going to die and, who was going to be Lucille'd, essentially, I do think that this was a very satisfying mid-season finale. I think this gave us everything that we really wanted, and I think, finally, it seems like now, like I told you guys, the payoff would be really good, and I think the payoff is going to be really good. We see in the promo that Rick is going to go to Ezekiel. He's going to go try to recruit the Kingdom, so I'm pretty sure they're going to try to get all the other groups that we met, such as the Hilltop or the Oceanside Community or the Kingdom, and get them against the Saviors, because the Saviors, they're ruining they're ruining everything. They're not keeping things the way they want them to be, and they need to be taken down. They're really starting to cross a line, and for a while, they just let them do their thing because they were scared of them, but now they're starting to realize that they do have the allies, and I like seeing that. I like seeing that Rick did decide to team up with Maggie. I like seeing that Rick did get his gun back. It's just a great moment showing that they are going to rally up against Negan. I can't wait to see where Ace is going to go, and I'm hoping for their sake that everything that we've been seeing, that this does in fact work out for them, because if it doesn't, I'll be very disappointed. And again, like I said, my worry is that Jeffrey D. Morgan still has another whole season, and I'm hoping that he's killed in the second half of the 8th season. What I'm thinking is that there's going to be a very big death in the end of this season, and that's going to be the thing that gets them to kill Negan. I think that's going to be the thing that shows them that they can't just take him down, they have to kill him, and that's very much true. I think the only way to kill Negan is to Lucille him. I think he's going to have to die by Lucille, and we'll get into that in the second half of the season. But let's talk about where I really think the whole situation conversation's going to go with Carol and Morgan, because at this point it seems like Carol and Morgan don't really want to join the fight. We saw that whole scene where Richard is trying to recruit them, and I definitely really do feel bad for Richard, because again, we know the loss that he's endured. We've known that he's gone through. We knew that he lost his family to Negan, and this is someone that he's wanted to take down for a long time. He feels like he does have allies here, but he really doesn't, or at least to his knowledge, he doesn't. He doesn't think that Carol and Morgan are really up to the task, but knowing Carol and knowing Morgan, I definitely feel they have something else up their sleeve. What exactly, I have no idea, but I definitely feel that there's definitely something more going on. I think they have a lot more up their sleeve than he thinks, and I don't think that he should think so literally when it comes to them helping him out. I think definitely there's going to be more to that, but again, to that end, I don't really know what they're really, what their whole plan is. I just know that obviously Carol had the conversation with Ezekiel. I think that's going to come back into play somehow. In what way, I don't know, but I think definitely that Carol has a bigger plan than we think, and I think Morgan very quickly is going to find out what exactly Ezekiel's whole agenda is, because we know who Ezekiel really is. We know that his whole thing is an act, and I'm sure that that is going to play into the season, but I do like the way that's finally, colliding into everything else. There's no, they don't know what actually happened to Glenn and Abraham, which they still don't know who died. They just know that there's a big threat out there they need to take down. And I think once they realize he was dead, that is when they're going to try to fight. And I like that Richard told Morgan, look, you're going to have to fight eventually. You're going to have to kill. Even though you don't want to, you're going to have to kill. And that's something that Morgan's going to have to realize, that his whole no-killing policy isn't really going to continue to, to save him that much anymore. With someone who's just killing so many people, just, one by one, mowing them down, not really caring who he kills about, he really isn't going to be able to continue that whole no-killing policy. He's going to have to kill someone eventually, and I think definitely that's something that Morgan is definitely going to have to start to realize. I don't know when he's going to come to that realization, but it's definitely going to happen, and I'm looking forward to seeing the way that's going to play out. I really do love that Rosita is still alive. I like seeing that, Spencer was killed, because again, I've wanted Spencer dead for a while. Olivia, I knew she was going to be dead the second that Negan wanted her dead, so I'm really not surprised that either one of them died. But let's talk about Eugene, because we really don't know what Negan's going to do with Eugene. I don't think he's dead, because there's that whole, if we don't see them die, they're not actually dead. So I don't think Eugene is dead at all. We thought that Glenn was dead. I don't think Eugene, when Glenn died last season, we thought that Glenn was dead. So I don't think that Eugene is dead. I think that they're probably going to use him as the prisoner for Daryl, which I don't really know how Daryl got out of prison, but that definitely is going to be very interesting to see if Eugene's going to be replaced as Daryl, and will Daryl be able to get away? I mean, Negan could always come back after him, so I don't really know if Daryl's going to get away as easily as he thinks. I think Daryl wants to think that he's going to get away, but I don't really know if that's going to happen. We'll have to see. I think that's going to be interesting to see if he actually can get away, so I really don't know. As far as Dwight, we saw that quick scene with Dwight trying to escape the prison. What's that all about? It seems like anyone that is a savior right now doesn't really trust Negan. They don't really like what they're doing. They kind of want to rally against him. So I'm thinking that even some of the saviors, like say Dwight, that one that was, watching Rick and all of them, maybe they don't want to, stay with Negan. Maybe they want to actually combat against him. And no one's really thought about doing it because they've just kind of bowed down and they've been so scared of him. But now that they're very much realizing, who the monster that he really is, they realize how much of a threat he really is. They realize that they really do need to take him down. And I think we're definitely going to start to see some call to action definitely be made. I think that definitely is going to be the first, either the first half of the season and the second half of the season or into the 8th season. I think that definitely is going to be a big focus of what we're really getting towards, which I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with that. I think that's going to be very interesting. Who was watching Rick in the group? I think that's also going to be a big question, is who was really watching them, what that's all about. I love seeing Rick and Michonne together. I think they've done a really good job of showing that relationship, showing how much they actually need each other and really how they really do rely on each other. Michonne really helps Rick in the sense where she gives him the strength that he needs, and she really gives him the leadership and things like that, and she also gave him the courage and the confidence that he can rise up against Negan. And I've liked seeing a broken Rick. I know a lot of people said that it's been boring, but I like seeing Rick not in his usual element. It's been really weird to see, definitely, but I think they've used it really, really well. They really have utilized this whole Rick's broken, Rick can't go back to the way he is right now, and I think they've used that for the most part really, really well. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing where that's going to go. I'm interested in seeing, what they're going to do with Rick next season, in the second half of the season, because now Rick is back to his usual dictatorship role, and I'm wondering how long that is going to stay. Because Negan, of course, is in fact at Alexandria, but of course he left, so I don't really know what's going to happen from there, but either way, we'll have to see. And overall, guys, I've really enjoyed this season so far. I think this has been a very different kind of season. Yeah, it has been a much more of, seeing what everyone's been doing and less of the, it's not the most exciting season right now, but I do think that it's about to pick up tremendously. I think when we come back, there's going to be a lot more shit going on. We're going to have a lot more, teams against Negan. I think the fight for Negan definitely is about to begin. I can't wait to see the way that fight for control is going to play out, definitely. And like I said, last week, we're really going to have to see who the real leader really is. I think Negan wants to believe he is the leader, but I think we're really starting to see that Rick is the actual leader. He is the one that can maintain order. He is the one that's been here longer, and in the end, Negan is actually, I think, going to be the one that's outnumbered. But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought of this video, of this episode overall. Have you liked this season so far? I know some of you haven't, and if you don't like the season, I completely understand why, really. It hasn't been the most interesting season. I totally understand that. But that's it for this. But Walking Dead is over for this year. I can't believe it. I'll see you guys in February. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode, and I will see you guys in the next video, which will be for a movie review, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.